Hello and welcome back to Remnant 2. Now, the Awakened King DLC is finally dropped, so the first of our 3 DLCs, and we're going to jump into it. A quick thing between episodes, between the end of the game and now, I've done a little bit of grinding just to get some items like Ring of Grace, because it's really good. Got a few subclasses done or archetypes: Engineer, Handler, part of Gunslinger. To be honest, none of these are... Well, actually, Engineer is a good one to finish off, so that for the traits we can get Fortify, 50% armor, gives us some solid damage reduction. Also managed to get Rugged, boosts our summons health by 100%. And that's about it. The DLC did increase the level cap, so we do have some trait points we can work with. We'll save 10 for the DLC archetype because it's really good. Like, stupidly good. Swap some gear out. Like I had said towards the end of the first playthrough, the time field got nerfed, so the value in it has gone down, I would say, immensely. Or time lapse. It's not bad, but it definitely isn't as good as it used to be. We do have Song of Aether. It is an option. But we'll hold off because you can actually see our mutator is a new one that came with the DLC. Fetid wounds, so much like the Twisting Wounds mutator, this applies corrosive when landing weak spots or critical hits. We also have the melee version, Tainted Blade, on the Krellax for the obvious bonus of at level 10, which this obviously is. Charged attacks apply corroded, dealing 50 or 500 acid damage over 20 seconds. So we can sit here and just instantly start applying debuffs. It's a nice way to save ammo, and it's worthwhile. Now, for the DLC, we have to actually do an adventure mode. It doesn't show up in the campaign until you run it at least once, then parts of it can show up in Losomn. But the Awakened King. The one true king has awakened and is on a bloody rampage that has upset the very tides of Losomn's dismal shores. Surfacing creatures of the deep and treachery long buried. This is something you should really pay attention to. One-shot adventure. One-shot adventures are crafted with unique content tailored to that specific adventure. However, each one-shot can be created only once. If the same adventure is generated again, the contents will be randomized. So you get one shot through all the new content, and after that you're going to have to run this multiple times, or run Losomn to get parts, and I had to restart my main character's run because it glitched, and so there are parts I have no idea how to do. So we're going to be learning some of this together. I know how to do a good portion of it, though. We'll go Survivor. No sense in cranking the difficulty just yet. Also, the final boss is like Annihilation difficulty, I would put him at. So going in on the easiest difficulty is definitely something worth doing initially.
what it means? All it means to know? Oh,
Know what?
everything we drowned didn't dare to know before. Do you know it too, stranger?
Maybe. I know lots of stuff.
It's a terrible burden to know. Helpless and heavy and horrible. We were veiled before the king arrived. Unknowing, unwise, unburdened. He tore away the veil. Now we know. We know what we couldn't possibly know.
And yeah, we'll just leave.
All there is. I wish I didn't.
Him and the other Dran around here who you can interact with, like that guy and that guy, they don't really tell you anything. He'll say, hey, do you know there's a god locked up in here? And yeah, Nimue is shackled in there. It's unfortunate because they don't even really give you lore. It's just kind of like, hey, here's ramblings. See, we can go that way into the sewer and there's a dungeon, or we can clear this part out quick, because this is actually a very large overworld. We'll knock out this part and then double back, because what we're gonna do here doesn't respawn, so it's better to just get it out of the way. Actually, since I'm sitting here, swap out you for that. Ring of the Robust is nice, but I would rather run Burden of the Divine. Does ding our armor down a bit, which I'm not a fan of. We don't really have a lot of wiggle room at the moment due to our build. Mostly because we have the regular Navigator's Pendant, which you have to wear the rusty one, and then get eaten by Talratha on Nerud. So
Nothing! Even me! Nothing! Wake up, my children! You are but fodder for the Fae's insatiable hunger! Pitiful jesters in the cruel court of life! Unwanted rebel! Awash in a sea of insignificance! What do you have to lose, I ask? What could be worse than the unending pain and misery you've suffered all your days? As you are now, you are worse than nothing. You are merely the ones who suffer, who toil, who bleed and die and waste away, used, sullied and forgotten. But no more! There is a way. One way alone to escape this endless drudgery. True salvation requires only accepting the warm embrace of nothingness. No, I do not speak of the numbing fear of the Fae's slavery. Never again. No, I do not speak of this searing stab of consciousness picking at our brains like a scavenger to carrion. It is too much to bear. My children, the one true king has arrived from on high to show us the way to sweet release, to the beautiful, blissful void that awaits those brave enough to accept it. We are unworthy of the exalted nothingness he offers our putrid selves. But in all of his magnanimousness, he holds out his hand, so we may strive for worthy. Do you have the courage to follow him, my fellow trap? To lay aside the misery of existence in favor of everlasting solitude? To annihilate your worthless self and join something far greater? Then listen well and heed my words. The one true king will show us the way to the solace we so desire. Deny him, and all you will ever be is a less-than-nothing stain on the bottom of the Fae's merciless boot. Join me, my fellow trap. Join me. Glory to the one true king!
Oh, I've never actually fully listened to that.
That stench. Heretic! Kill him!
There we go. Yep, now he transforms into that. Yeah, every time I just ran in and he'd instantly scream heretic and have everybody fight us. So it was interesting actually hearing the dialogue for once. But we'll get this little area cleared out and then get to that dungeon, because that'll be an interesting place.
Don't let him escape! Run! Kill the Rex bosses!
Axe fight! I do think this area will lead us into the town, so just have to cut it off there, though. But otherwise, this area, it doesn't offer a lot. It's mostly inside the city walls where a lot of the good stuff is. I wish there was something in the boats out here. But I get it, it's just kind of set dressing, but would have been cool. And I've already, on my main character, I got the Hexer class because it's in this area. And I'll tell you, it is stupidly powerful. And this DLC in general adds a lot of options for players. Okay. It's actually really nice, just the sheer volume of dot options and in general just cool stuff they added for this. It makes me wonder what the next DLCs are gonna be. my first thought is there probably... So there's a couple possibilities here. First off, if this is anything to go off of, then I would assume we're going to have 2 additional one-shots that are on Nerud and on Yesha, which... it's okay. I'm not going to be super happy about that. Mostly because with how the story in this game went, where they're like, oh yeah, by the way, no one knows where Ford went. I'd kind of like to know where that story is going to end. I feel like it's not enough to use it as like a setup for a Remnant 3. So it has to kind of be rectified or dealt with in this story, or in this game. Okay, so that's the story continuing dungeon. So that might be one thing. It could kind of be almost a Ulysses situation from Fallout New Vegas, where you start out, you're doing Honest Hearts, you're doing, oh god, Old World Blues, and you're doing Dead Money, and you're finding notes where it's like, oh hey, Ulysses was here. And that could be the same situation with this, is just like, oh hey, this guy has been here. You're kind of picking up things about Ford. Or they're going to do like 2 one-shots, and then because they've had ample time for the last one, we get a bigger DLC to kind of explain Ford. But I don't know. I think that's a bit of an ask. Hopefully we get additional archetypes, because it'd be cool just to get 2 more and see what we can really build at the end. Yeah, these guys like to hang on walls, ceilings. If I had the extra trait points, because there's a few things I'd like to buy. With this build, I would really like to get the Challenger's trait, because then I get improved carry weight for armor, which I don't think anybody's really going to be opposed to that in a build. Then definitely have to get the Hexer. From there, I don't know, there's a few options.
Perhaps there. Might I have some space, please? I'm busy.
No.
Busy, yes. Preoccupied. It means I am otherwise engrossed.
Don't care.
Really? Must you? Oh, very well. You are infuriatingly persistent. What? Have you lost your way? Separated from your kith and kin? You are not Dran.
Neither are you.
Do I not look the part to perfection? I thought my disguise was quite clever. You are insightful. Indeed, I am Faye. My name is Laywise, royal scribe to the one true king. Former scribe, I suppose. Pleased to make your acquaintance. Whatever might you be called?
Everyone calls me the Traveler.
You don't trust me with your name, is that it? Wise. Very wise. Names are precious things, especially when left at the mercy of someone else's quill. But for the record's sake, I simply must know what brings an outsider to the one true king's blood-soaked realm.
Just exploring.
Be warned. The one true king does not tolerate outsiders. I suggest you stay far, far away from his death-shrouded castle. Better yet, Return from whence you came, and take me with you.
It's not exactly safe where I'm from either.
Worth a try. Me craft something with my hands, like the common rabble. I am a royal scribe, a master of words and wit, the stenographer, the very voice of the king. I see now. This is splendid. Yes, my clever disguise has fooled you thoroughly. As it happens, the Dran who once adorned these garments carried some supplies on his person, yes? I would happily give them to you. For a small, meager price. A lean compensation is all I request.
Yeah, this is the only thing worth really picking up, since it doesn't have anything else. Atonement Fold. Self-inflicts bleeding status, causing 1.1 bleed damage per second, increases crit chance by 10%. The obvious thing with that is what you can do. I'm not going to equip it at the moment, but you run Atonement Fold, and then you run Blood Tinged Ring. Gain 2 health regen when within 25 meters of a bleeding entity. Well, you're a bleeding entity, so you hard counter the Atonement Fold. And then you could run stuff like, not Embrace of Shahala. I have to check my main character because he has like every ring. But there are rings that give you bonuses for each status effect you're suffering from. So you can leverage it and do some interesting stuff with it. It's just the matter of figuring out what your build needs to be. Not to mention, like, amulets, there's a few. I'm trying to think of what I have here. I mean, neckbone amulet, yeah, neckbone necklace might be the play here, because it reduces the damage of status effects applied to the wearer by 50%, so you'd maybe be only taking 5.5 or 0.55 health per second, so half an HP per second, and gain increased damage in exchange for that. So that could be a move. But just based on what little I actually have on this character, there are options. And I've seen a number of people rocking it, so clearly there is a build. Even though that guy doesn't offer much, we'll come back, because he has kind of an unmarked quest, and we can get one of 3 different items depending on what we do. Forgotten Commune. Nothing here. Let's see, can we snipe this lady? Nope. If you start whipping these axes long enough, you get really good at gauging range. I've managed to land hits and one-tap guys from distances I rightfully shouldn't have landed. But it synergizes well with the Hexer because their class trait increases status duration by 100%. So, obviously that's pretty good. And the thing there is, so the Krell Edge effect is only a 10-second trait or 10-second ability normally, but Timekeeper's Jewel doubles the time. So what I'm thinking is with Hexer, we'll get to 20 seconds, and then with the ring, it'll give us another 10 to give us 30-second duration. Because otherwise, I can't imagine it would double our doubling. If it did, that'd be insane. Because doubling a doubling, the amount of damage could be good, but it depends on if the damage gets amplified at all, which is something I've been meaning to kind of test out. Because otherwise, all it would be doing is actually lowering my DPS, which isn't as cool as you think. But it also works, because then if you have someone else on your team, or if you're built for it, there are things where it's like, oh, you get bonus damage when hitting a target with this status effect. Case in point, increases critical chance of this weapon by 5% per unique status effect on the enemy. Max 15%. Okay, so if I whip an axe, it lasts 30 seconds, hit an enemy with corrosive and fire, I get 15% critical hit chance stacked on this, which brings us up to a 25% crit rate. That's pretty solid. Could I switch and put that on the Black Maw? Yeah. It's probably a better option if, realistically, if I want to go kind of crit sticking, I would actually probably trick out the Chicago Typewriter. Even though it does have lower range, having the extra just damage in total, just extra magazine size, I think would be better. But, book. Nice little explanation of why we got people falling from up top. Let's see, can we watch any fall? Oh, now that I'm watching, you're not going to throw a corpse down. Okay, cool. So there's a few spots you can jump to in this little area. Fun little, not even gonna say puzzle. I mean, you could consider it a jumping puzzle, anything like this would be, but pretty simple. Yeah, and you can probably figure out why Ring of Grace plus the Medic's trait triage is so good. Turning a 10% max health to a 15% max health whenever I get hit. So I'm getting 22, roughly, HP per second. Or HP over 10 seconds, so like 2 HP per second, anytime I get hit. And then, because I have my Burn of the Divine, half of that heals my summons, and then when my summons hit, I get healed off that, which, if I heal, it goes right back into them. The only thing it's missing is, like I said, the Challenger perk, so I can get some heavy armor. The whole idea is to just be tanky. So we got 2 spots here. We'll go left first. Not the greatest reward, just a normie chest. And we can't make the jump back, don't try. Just drop down, make your trip back through, and you'll be okay. I've tried every little jump I can in this area. It's safer. You might be able to squeeze something out if you can land it right, but I wouldn't risk it. And the one on the left here, if we spin back around the right, that one's a lot easier. If the summons can get out of the way. One curse of summons, I kind of wish they'd have a bit of a buffer where it's like, oh, I'm within like 2 feet of you, let me just back up a little. Nothing up there. Ring of the Castaway, which I actually found in a normal run through Losomn, so we'll quick find it to show. Increases consumable duration by 50%. So what I'm thinking there is if you run Alchemist, which turns concoctions into 2-hour durations, you might be able to turn it into like 2.5 hours. Oh, I missed that jump. Wow, that was incredibly lucky of me. But there's also a ring that lets you have like 1 or 2 extra concoctions, which that plus the, I think it's a Feastmaster's amulet. You could probably combo and have a really long duration for... You, at max, I think you can do 2.5 hours. Maybe longer, depending on traits, but I don't think there's a duration trait. But you could have probably, I think, 4... No, you could pull, I think, like 5 or 6 active concoctions at any given point. Which ones would I say to pick? I don't know. Probably health and healing are going to be your big ones. Everything else is kind of secondary. Because your main goal is just tanking. Yeah, so you can make your jump back. That's that whole area. Nice little bit of loot. The ring, like I said, I found it in a completely different dungeon. I found it in, like, Great Sewers. So don't feel like you have to get it here. But if you're in the area, you might as well grab it. Keep looking, because there's a lot of jellyfish. Like right there. and the creepy bloated spitter guys, whose names I don't remember, they're hiding all over, like I said, walls and ceilings, so you have to just keep an eye out. They're not terrible. Like, I'm definitely not sitting here like, oh boy, I can't wait to fight them. Because they're annoying, especially in number. But there's a blue version, blue-purple, and those ones are really annoying to deal with. Because they don't do normal floaty stuff, they leave, like, mine-like stuff. They also will puke on you, and that's... It kind of staggers you, but it also causes the... What is it? Like the cough animation. But I think for the most part they do attack in number. Yeah, maybe the handler perk, just so I don't have to deal with doing a ton of damage to my summons. That might be appreciated, but I also feel like that's kind of... It's necessary, but it's also unnecessary. Yeah, that one. You saw him puke at that last second. And this area, because it's the new enemy, this whole zone, they're just like, hey, so hope you enjoy fighting these guys, because that's all you're gonna see. Which isn't bad, it's just like... After the first couple times I've seen them, you're like, oh, okay, so can we, like, not see these guys every 3 spawns and this whole area? It's like, no. Not everybody's an accursed. Have fun. Vile Thorn Brawler. Oh. Yeah, during Halloween, they had added a bunch of new aberrations. So, it's guys like this, and they kind of spawn not as like a dedicated boss in a set area, it's pretty random. Which is cool. They also drop a new resource. And drop new mutators. But they drop corrupted shards. Which, actually, let's check. How many do we have? 4. Okay, so you max out at 5, and you can turn weapons into corrupted weapons, so a Felion can get corrupted, and instead of firing 1 wide beam, it fires 3 shorter beams stacked on top of each other. Merciless becomes semi-auto, and fires, like, higher damage, but only like 10 rounds in the magazine. The grenade launcher Meridian fires different, it fires rockets. The rune pistol becomes different. each one has their own little thing. So hopefully, as time progresses, we'll see more. But it just kind of sucks because it's a handful of weapons and you can only carry 5 at a time. So it isn't like, oh, I will just pick up 20, and then when I get the weapons, I can convert them. It's when you hit 5, if you can convert a weapon, you do it. The upside is when you convert a weapon, that boss will drop the weapon again, or the item to craft the weapon. So I can have 2 Aphelions. I just have to sit down, do the boss fight, do whatever step is needed to get it, and then I can get a second one. I wish I had Twisting Wounds, just because there are some things that are immune to acid, and nothing is immune to bleed. But we make do with what we got. And eventually I'll farm it out and get it, and then we'll ball out of control. Okay, so there's that route. I think the other one is we have to go down. So we'll go this way first, since everything leads back. Right there. Hopefully they fix some of the area, because sometimes summons would just like freeze. Found somebody up above. For this area, you probably should actually stand here, because if you go down, you're gonna have a harder time fighting this encounter. Even though we'll go down to look. As you can see, we have this altar here full of chained up dudes. But, as you can tell, not a lot of wiggle room. But up here, even though it doesn't look like we have a lot of wiggle room because this area, what we can do is go like that. And then we just stand in the middle. Because all spawns are at their health gates, having all the bonuses for duration and being able to do the extra damage allows us to kind of control summons. Because at this point we can sit here, go, oh, okay, we can handle some more enemies, let it burn a bit. Or you can even just shoot, add on to the burn a little. Unless my summons are stupid and get in the way, then not much I can do about that. Yep, the new elite enemy, the witch. They don't do anything, they're just a witch, but I've had encounters where it's them and the chainsaw guy. The fun part with the Krell axe, too, is you get to feel like Thor. So, we get Scythe Blade. This will be important. I mean, important as it's an item we'll get, but in terms of, like, is this a critical item? No. It's an okay weapon. I think the problem is if you're playing through this after completing the main game, or if you farmed a ton, a lot of the weapons in this, I won't call them underwhelming, but they're alright. There is only two weapons in this that I will say are definitive potential bangers. One is a final boss weapon, and one is a pickup we can get later on at the lighthouse. Hang on, let me check the map. Oh, platforms, yep. Hey, Summons, you wanna come help? Nope. Okay, so we'll try this again. This time we're not going into the little loot cubby over there. We're getting the side door open first. So if for reasons unknown I fall and die, I at least have an easier path back. There. Now we can go back. Plus there was a other path, I think. Yep, going. We'll try out in here again. That's better. Yep, and then this leads actually to the other path, so this worked out really well. What do these do? Yeah, sure, why not? Regenerate mod power. I genuinely can't think of a time where I would actually need to use one of those, but sure. It's not like we have the one gun from ROM that lets you revive. That one I'd understand trying to get a charge on that. Alright, so this is a little trick you can do. Nope, screw the trick up. We're all gonna die. Usually you can climb down there a little bit and bait out these little idiots. And then depending on where you're standing, they'll just stand like here and be like, what do I do? Where do I go? And then you just shoot them from the top and they stand there and just accept death. But for reasons unknown, I just didn't grab the ladder. Look at all the growths and pustules on the walls. Average Twitch streamer home be like. Look at that. Hey, idiots, get over here. Look at that, that is spooky. Time to burn it. Direction we want to go. Actually, it doesn't really matter, we'll just throw down wherever. Because the power of dots will space everybody out enough. I've had a lot of teams that they try to just sprint through this fight and burn it down, and it works. I'm not going to say it doesn't, but I think you put yourself at a lot of unnecessary risk. because these guys will have like 5 waves coming in at once. And it's like, yeah, you can take a little bit longer and space these out and be just fine. There's really no reason to sit here and just try to draw all the aggro. One thing I'd like to see for DLC is expanding each archetype. I know I had mentioned it before with like summons, but it'd be cool to have like a burning root guy, kind of like from the original game. So it's like, oh, I can deal some elemental damage. Just something like that, or it'd be tough, but I'd like to see kind of tie-ins between each archetype. So healer might give these guys like passive health regen or lifesteal. Hexer would give them an element. Challenger might make them have better armor or something like that. Make each combo stand out a little bit. I just don't know how you would do summoner comboed, because I guess the thing is, would order count? If it being summoner first, does that mean the summons get the bonuses? Or is it just, hey, either order gets the bonus? Because then, yeah, it's not that difficult because you already have the challenger, like the challenger healer or challenger summoner done, so you don't have to monkey with it. Of course he got in the way. Alright, so now we have the scythe hilt. Seen a lot of people get really confused by this. So you inspect the scythe hilt, you look at the top, interact, scythe blade, ritualist scythe. So now we have a new weapon. Increases melee damage if the target is suffering from a negative status effect. It's okay. Like I said, this is the problem where it's not great. Realistically, yeah, it works really well with the Hexer because you just combo. A bunch of their stuff is like, oh, their first ability will let you extend duration of any debuffs on a target. So you just hit someone with all the debuffs you can, and then you just dip. Because you can just back off, get close again, because you have to... It's a short-range blast. But you hit them, it extends the duration size. You can push it as far as your level can go. So if you have a really long duration bonus, you can just push the duration. Okay, so we actually have to go this way. You do that, bing bang boom, you're done. Their other abilities are a lot better. One applies like one of all the of a bunch of debuffs, so shock, corrode, burn, and bleed. Would have been cool if we could have had cold, but who knows. Not sitting here with my hopes up for it, but can always hope they decide to add it eventually. I'll let them deal with that. I'm in no mood to deal with another one of those guys down here. Alright, that is the entirety of the dungeon. So we'll just hit the checkpoint and dip out of here quick. Gotta get my summons out real fast because everybody and their mother shows up by this guy to fight you. Because we got him up there. Yep, and then he drops, and I think, yep, he comes running. Alright, cool. He won't have anything for us yet, we have to find his book. But that is all for now. If you enjoy this episode, make sure to hit the like button, it helps out the channel a lot, and if you haven't already, make sure to hit the subscribe button. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.